Hello, my name is Ling Hung and welcome to VTV News. Let's now get you caught up with the headlines. American experts on Southeast Asia voice opinions on the East Sea tensions. Banking systems aim to improve IT infrastructure and risk management. First up, the 8th ASEAN Defense Ministers Meeting, or ADMM8, concluded on Tuesday in the Myanmar capital of Naypyidaw. After the meeting, the ministers held an official meeting with their Chinese counterpart, Chuang Wen-chuan. At the meeting, ASEAN Secretary General Le Luming informed the Chinese Defense Minister the results of the ADMM8 regarding the current East Sea dispute. The ASEAN defense minister stated that the sides need to deal with the matter through peaceful measures and comply with international law as well as the DOC treaty that China signed with ASEAN. The ministers also said that unilateral actions were unacceptable and asked China to stop and withdraw the oil rig. Also on the sidelines of the ADMM8 and the unofficial meeting between the ASEAN defense ministers with their Chinese counterpart, our VTV correspondent in Myanmar spoke to Vietnam's Minister of National Defense, General Phùng Quang Thanh. Here's what he had to say.
The ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting has recently taken place amid tensions between Vietnam and China, which have attracted a lot of attention. Could you please give us some of the details of your recent meeting with the Chinese Minister of Defense, Chang Wang-Guang?
During the meeting, we demonstrated that Vietnam will protect its sovereignty through peaceful measures based on the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, the ASEAN Statement and the DOC. According to the DOC, we should maintain the status quo and ensure air and maritime security without the use of armed forces. Vietnam only uses vessels such as marine police ships and fisheries control ships, together with fishing boats, to protect our sovereignty. We do not have recourse to any armed forces to cause damage to China's oil rig. We urge China to take peaceful measures instead of using aeroplanes or ramming or firing water cannons at Vietnam ships. Vietnam wishes to protect the peace and stabilize the socio-economic situation. We hope that the two countries will settle the issues amicably, continue to develop the economy, and maintain comprehensive cooperation.
Thank you very much.
China's illegal placement of the Haiyang Shiyou 981 oil rig and deployment of ships and planes within Vietnam's exclusive economic zone and continental shelf have raised concerns among the international community. In the following report, American experts on Southeast Asia voiced their opinions on this provocative and a unilateral move.
Amid the escalating tensions here in the East Sea, the Washington-based Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, is keeping a close eye on the situation, stating that China's move, quote, underlines Beijing's commitment to test the resolve of Vietnam, its ASEAN neighbors, and Washington. Beijing may also be attempting to substantially change the facts on the seas by moving, while it perceives Washington to be distracted. That does not, however, mean that the U.S. is not monitoring the situation.
Clearly, the U.S. has decided that Chinese actions in the South China Sea not only threaten the region, but they potentially threaten the entire global commons, the international order that the Law of the Sea represents. There are few main players out there speaking up who are not condemning China's actions over the last couple of years in the South China Sea.
The Stimson Center think tank highlights that the strongest legal basis to counter China's actions is that it infringes upon Vietnam's exclusive economic zone and continental shelf under the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas.
The rationale that China uses, or the legal argument it makes, is that it's really basing its action on its control of the Paracel Islands. And so there's one small island in the Paracels that's closest to the Vietnam's EEZ that it apparently is using to make the assertion of a maritime space, But under the UNCLOS rules, a small island like that cannot generate a maritime space.
China's rationale is based on the 9-dash line, which without legalized evidence claims over 85% of the EC area. This, as CSIS advisor notes, is unclear, if not to say unrealistic.
The question for the Chinese is the legality of the 9-dash line. That's big for China, because that calls into question everything that they claim in the South China Sea. My hope is that in the face of more cases, for example, if Vietnam were to bring a case to the tribunal or the International Court of Justice, my hope is that the Chinese would feel under pressure to clarify their claims, even if they don't accept the case. And then they can make that claim clear, and then there is something to at least have a discussion about in the court.
This is exactly what the Philippines did in late March by filing nearly 4,000 pages of evidence, it is reported, to a UN tribunal hearing its case against China's territorial claim in the EC. China has refused to take part in the arbitration. Yet, as all three experts above agree, international law is Vietnam's strongest weapon at this time to protect its sovereignty.
Vietnam's varied charms are boundless. They will awaken your senses to astonishing wonder. From sight to sound, from smell to taste, you will be touched in ways you've never thought possible. Vietnam is so charming, one visit is never enough.
You're watching VTV News for the latest updates on Vietnam. The State Bank of Vietnam held a conference on Tuesday to announce that Vietnam's foreign reserves had increased to $35 billion by the end of April. Supply and demand for foreign exchange has been generally stable, but in the last few days there have been fluctuations in gold prices and the US dollars. According to the SBV, speculators have made use of tensions over the EC and people's mentality for holding. The SBV advised people to reflect on their decisions carefully at this time to prevent losses. The bank will also monitor the situation and step in, if necessary, to ensure market stability. According to data from the State Bank of Vietnam, many weaknesses in risk management and bank management have been exposed in the industry that have led to Vietnam having the highest level of non-performing loans in the region, accounting for 8.82% of total debt. Given the situation, banks need to capture innovative technology and upgrade their infrastructure to optimize operational efficiency and profit, while ensuring stable development and preparing for new challenges.
That was the main theme of a conference and exhibition titled Restructuring IT Infrastructure, Enhancing Risk Management Capacities in the Banking System. Keynotes and topic from representatives of the State Bank of Vietnam and solution provider focus on current practices and future technology trends, together with their impacts on the development of the banking industry in terms of operational excellence and customer experience transformation. Overall, the Vietnamese banking system was said to be increasing the use of modern technology.
We are behind the world's banking systems and regional institutions in terms of IT infrastructure and operational technology. But this is also a good chance, since we can take advantage of the latest technology and learn from their development.
It is clear that technology is key to all aspects of banking, from services to operations and securities. Development is still wide open since the Vietnamese banking system is only starting to adopt modern technology for services, management, and operations.
So I think that there are some banks who are doing good jobs around things like SMS and USSD banking. as we move into the smartphone era and beyond that to mobile that we can't predict what it will be today, they need to really expand how they're using those new technologies in order to ensure, for instance, that people in rural areas find it easier and easier to do transactions between each other and between vendors and things of that nature.
There's a lot of need for infrastructure reliability for them to be competitive, because I think banks here in Vietnam would really need to catch up with their international counterparts in terms of infrastructure, and it's very important the infrastructure is very robust and very stable when it comes to competing international markets.
Now, the year 2013 had witnessed an initial recovery signs of the banking system, with credit growth reached 8.83%. In setting goal for the year 2014, the State Bank of Vietnam targets an increase in the total liquidity of 16 to 18%, and the credit growth reached 12 to 14%. To achieve that goal, IT infrastructures and risk management capacity improvement is vital, not only in the short term, but for the whole banking system's sustainable development also. Minh Trang for VTV International.
Old houses play a vital role in preserving Vietnam's long-lasting village culture. However, the preservation of these houses is faced with critical limitations in old towns across the country. More to follow in this report from an old village near Da Nang City.
This is a 200-year-old house in Phong Nam village in Da Nang's Hoa Vang district. Decaying beams, peeling walls, and damaged roofs are common problems for many old houses in this area, and some are not even safe to live in.
Sống trong ngôi nhà của nó xuống cấp như thế này bà có sợ không?
I've had to leave the house several times due to storms. It's too old. It was inherited from my grandfather and I really want to maintain it, but I cannot afford to.
In addition to financial issues, the maintenance of our houses often requires highly skilled workers and special materials, which makes the process even more difficult.
Severe weather conditions in this area takes its toll on the houses, and only skilled workers know how to repair them to a good standard. The cost of maintenance is too high for us.
Phong Nam village is well known for its old houses. In 2000, there were 10 houses over 200 years old in the village. But now, there are only 3 left, and local authorities have been slow to react to the situation.
Local authorities are not offering any policies or assistance to support the preservation of these old houses. Most owners have major problems finding the funding, workers and materials needed for maintenance jobs.
Phong Nam is a popular tourist destination for visitors to Da Nang, so preserving these houses is essential to retaining the unique characteristics of this area. Maintenance can be a long process, and these wonderful old houses will only be restored if action is taken quickly.
VTV now will continue with the weather updates. And that's the end of this edition of VTV News. Many thanks for being with us. Do log on to vtv4.vn for other updates. And for now, goodbye from Hanoi.